Now,
on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 7:06 now on this 23rd day of August 2023, debate day, the very first debate of the 2024 campaign season, and we got you covered 6 ways to Sunday, as John Brennan would say. Oh, no, wait, that was Chuck Schumer. It was one of those other Democrat toadies threatening the CIA, going after Trump. Coming up at 8:05, Tom Newmark, Frederick County parent, on this first day of school in Frederick County. I'm Larry Connor alongside Julie Gunlock.
Good morning.
And you will hear that debate tonight live at 9 p.m. on WMAL. And we'll have full coverage tomorrow, as I'll be heading to Milwaukee right after the show. I'll be there on the ground for pre-debate, during the debate, in the spin room, and then I'll be broadcasting live. The show will originate tomorrow out of Milwaukee as we discuss, well, really the biggest political story of the day. But let's not lose sight of the fact that we've got some elections coming up this November in Virginia, and that includes some of the most important local elections that we're going to see, not just school board, which we've been focusing quite a bit on, but also the Commonwealth's attorneys' races. We know, we've seen how critically important that position is, especially when somebody goes through all the trouble of fundraising and knocking on doors and getting votes and winning the election to be Commonwealth's attorney just to ignore the law and not put people away if they've broken the law. In fact, brag about the fact that you don't prosecute people. That's what we've seen in certain counties, and we certainly don't want Prince William County to go in that direction. Joining us now is Matt Lowery. He is running for Prince William County Commonwealth's attorney. And Mr. Lowery, thank you for joining us.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, you heard the setup there. We have seen how important this position. There was a time when Republicans and Democrats would agree that the job of a Commonwealth's attorney was to put away the bad guys and prosecute them and make our streets safer. But now there seemed to be a different approach to that job.
It sure does. The Commonwealth's attorney is like the district attorney or the state's attorney in other places. It's the local prosecutor, and it's the person who's responsible for running the office that prosecutes crime and setting crime policy in the counties. And it's forever been a nonpartisan job done in a nonpartisan way. But all of that changed in the last cycle when all of Northern Virginia was sort of overswept by new style liberal prosecutors who sort of changed the focus of prosecution off of victims and off of community-facing protections onto sort of offender-facing protections. And it's changed the way that business has been done, and it's resulted in lots of problems that are very evident, I think, to everybody who looks at crime in Northern Virginia nowadays, especially in Prince William County. We've got a massive crime spike going on right this second.
Yeah. Prince William County Police Department actually issued a report recently that showed that there's been specifically a rise in violent crime rates over the last few years. This is very concerning to the people of Prince William County. And as you mentioned, all of Northern Virginia is experiencing this. And there doesn't seem to be any deterrent anymore to crime. So what would you do to change that?
Well, the main thing is, I don't want to stand here and say that, we're going to go really hard on crime. What we need to do is just get things back to normal.
Yeah.
Because what's happened is we've gotten away from normal. Normal is have people come in, have them prosecuted, have them held accountable. Prosecution doesn't mean throwing people in prison. Prosecution means having them come in, have their case adjudicated, and put a fair outcome on it. Sometimes that's probation. Sometimes that's services. Sometimes that's local jail. Sometimes that is prison. But what happens is now we have a situation where, for whatever reason, many cases are just not being prosecuted, or many cases are being prosecuted so lightly that there's a sense there's no accountability for what happens when crimes are committed. Criminals talk. They know this. And so now that all of a sudden we've gone from we had the same individual, Paul Ebert, in office in Prince William for 52 years. He won this election 13 times. There was never this sort of trouble because people knew that when you go in that courthouse, fairness and justice is going to happen. One cycle later, we don't have that anymore, and things have gone wild. Our murder rate has doubled. Violent crime, as you said, up 70%. But lots of other crimes are up by huge percentages, too. Six-fold increase in identity theft, 280% increase in assault and battery on law enforcement. Aggravated assaults in our county have doubled.
Wow.
Robbery up 44%. these are stats that are aberrant unless you have something that's badly wrong with the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
And there is something badly wrong with the criminal justice system.
Well, and it's so sad to see because Prince William County was the place where people would go to flee D.C. and flee Fairfax County and flee the crime rates in Alexandria County. And now Prince William County is creeping right up there toward that being in the same ballpark as those counties. And you're right. It sounds like it's because, well, you said so yesterday. You had a rally, and you were joined, by the way, by County Supervisors Yesley Vega and Janine Lawson. And you put the blame firmly in that your opponent in this election. So what will you do differently? When Mr. Lowery, when you win this race and you become the Commonwealth's attorney at Prince William County, tell me succinctly how you're going to conduct yourself differently and how things will change.
Two things. When I'm the Commonwealth's attorney, you can expect that we'll have victim-centered and community-focused policy in the Commonwealth's attorney's office where we worry about the benefit of everyone, not just what's going on with the offender. And, with regard to specific cases, we will not give up when there are little bumps in the road or little hiccups. The job requires more tenacity amongst prosecutors than what we've seen in the current office. And we're going to do criminal justice in a manner that's competent, that's fair, and that's pro-community and not pro-offender.
So we've seen that a lot of these Commonwealth's attorneys sort of bring this agenda of social justice and criminal justice reform and basically decide, as you put it, focus on the offender's rights instead of the victim's rights. Is that what you've seen specifically in Prince William County? Is it an agenda or is it just incompetence?
No, to some extent it's both. The agenda part of it is that all of these sort of new style reforms are put in place to put into effect an anti-mass incarceration plan. What drives a lot of these policies is a desire to avoid mass incarceration. And I've been exposed to this ideology. I know what it's about. And the trouble I have with it is that nobody can define what mass incarceration is. I've been a prosecutor for most of the last 20 years. I don't think in fact, I'm certain I have never put someone in prison unfairly. And if the number of people that go to prison is appropriate and everyone is there fairly, then that's not a problem that needs to be solved. That's just the people who need to be in prison. Everyone knows this. And the communities served. The trouble with these policies is that the neighborhoods that get crushed by these policies, the people who get hurt the most are the people that these politicians say they want to protect. On the street, nobody says we should go light on crime because when politicians who live in the country or who live in fancy houses release all the criminals, they go back not to their neighborhoods. They go back to the neighborhoods that the politicians say they're trying to protect. And the people who get hurt are only the people they try to protect.
I want to just really quickly pivot over to schools. There are 300 teaching positions that remain unfilled in PW schools. We're about to start the new school year. We've got a lot of problems in the schools. We've got a lot of violence in Northern Virginia's schools. But there's also this, at the same time, there's this idea of like defund the police and sort of restorative justice, which again is an absence of actual discipline in the schools. SRO removal. What are you going to do to stay on top of that and ensure that safety is a priority for Prince William County schools?
The current regime is uncomfortable with SROs. SROs, first of all, I mean, let's not mince words. School resource officers are there primarily to protect the building and to protect the children that are in there. And, they represent the gun that stops the other guns from coming into school. I think that you find amongst these liberal prosecutors that they think that police citizen contacts, and especially police child citizen contacts, represent a public safety danger, which is a ludicrous and silly position. But they'd prefer to get the police out of there mainly because they view police child contacts as an opportunity to feed what they call the school-to-prison pipeline. Yes. And I've always disputed that exists. Yes. I've run as a manager of juvenile court units, and I've been called upon to talk about the school-to-prison pipeline, and the reality is it just does not exist. The stats don't hold it up. Right. In Virginia, very few children who have police interactions in school actually end up in court, and in fact, most of the interactions are very positive. The real pipeline is the lack of education to prison pipeline. Yes. The absence of education to prison pipeline. And if we don't have functioning schools, then we wind up having people who put themselves at risk for going to prison. Education is absolutely the solution for that.
Matt Lowery is running for Prince William County Commonwealth's attorney. His website is mattlowery4ca. That's the number 4ca. You can get more information about him. And there you will learn that he has been endorsed by Attorney General Jason Miyares. Matt Lowery, thank you for joining us today. Good luck with the campaign.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.